Hi, I'm Rick Dior, and I'm just playing a little here on these drums. I haven't had them out in several years. I put them in storage maybe about 4 years ago after a very long recording project. And I forgot how much I love these drums. So these are Yamaha Maple Customs from the 1990s, probably around 93 or 94 is my guess. I bought them from a very close friend of mine named Jim Lackey, who was a great big band jazz drummer back in the day, in the 50s and 40s and 50s. And we became friends after I moved here in 1990 or so. This was like my gigging jazz kit for about 5 years until the early 2000s. That's when I switched to a Gretsch Centennial kit that I picked up, and I was using that out. But these drums are wonderful sounding drums, like I keep saying. Before this, I did have a recording custom kit that I bought in the 80s, a red kit. I love that. And I had sold that when I moved from New York. It's just too much stuff to bring with me. But I played that kit for years and years, probably a whole decade. I gigged with that kit. It was birch, sounded amazing. Not a great jazz kit, but it was great. So this kit has an 18-inch bass drum. I believe it's 18 by 14, maybe 16. I'll measure it and put it up there. By the way, these are the same drums that Elvin Jones and Roy Haynes used for years in the 90s as well. And I think that one of Elvin's kits is for sale on Reverb for like $30,000 or something. I remember seeing it. Pretty much the same sizes as this. Of course, he had his toms a lot higher and he sat real high, so it looked a little different. And Roy Haynes also played on a set of these. They're a beautiful bluish kind of color. So, you know, a lot of these drummers that I would see in New York had these kits, and I always thought they sounded great. It's a different kind of sounding drum set. I feel like it's a little bit more mellow across the spectrum. Of course, they're maple, so they ring a lot. They've got a really nice ring to them. They're also really easy to tune, and I'm using fiber skins on here now. I've had these heads on here for probably, I don't know, a long time, 15 years. I don't use the drums that much, so I didn't change them. And I was doing some YouTube videos with them. I know I did a jazz drum kit video probably about 4 years ago, and I showed you these, and they probably had these same fiber skin heads. So the heads are great. Fiber skin heads do wear out though rather quickly. They'll get kind of mottled in the middle, you know, worn out very quickly. So I have used calf heads on these too, which sound great, very similar to the fiber skin sound. Now this snare drum here is a Dave Weckl snare. I know a lot of you know about this drum. I did a video on it. And I have two of these. I have a 14 and a 13. So you see that. It's got the two strainers. I'm just using one set of snares. I put a set of Grover orchestra snares on here. I use it sometimes kind of like a military drum for certain things, but I'm not using those today. And you got to be careful with the 14 version of this drum. It can be a little hazardous to your testicles. Hopefully I can say that on here. So I have to put my snare mechanism in a different place normally, because if I normally have it this way, where I usually have it, you got to be careful when you get up. So it really sticks out, this thing. It's also a pain in the neck to get in the strainer a little bit, or the basket, I should say. Oh, actually, while I got this out, I'll show you my other Yamaha snare. And this came with the kit. So this is a beautiful drum, much used. This was my gigging snare drum for many, many years. And it's a Maple Custom 5 by 14. I did put some gold rims, some Gretsch rims on here. Gives it a bit of bling, but they're also really heavy. They're much heavier than the original rims, and I'm going to have to open this basket. So I'll play this a little for you. It's tuned a little bit low. a really, really nice snare drum. I put a Majestic, my old Majestic snares came with these heads, so I took one off of there. It's actually a fiber skin as well, but it's a Diplomat. Kind of a hard head to find, so. Really nice sound and great for closed rolls. Really easy to roll on. All right, so these drums are fantastic snare drums. You can't go wrong with a 5x14 Yamaha. Actually, I'll leave it on here for now. Just a great drum. Now, the Maple Customs did have a quirk to them, and I'll see if I can show you that. So these lugs, they were called 1-point, well, I called them that, 1-point lugs. So in other words, what happened was there was one screw on the inside. Hopefully you can see this. If not, I'll take a close-up later with the overhead camera here. And there were pins on these lugs, okay? And what would happen is if you tightened it too much, the pins would break. It's very, very common. So you got to be careful. You know, they fixed it later on with, it wasn't that pot metal they originally used. They changed it, so it was better. But I believe all of these is very early, probably have those lugs. I do not tune them really high because I'm afraid of breaking one. You can buy them, but they're very, very expensive to buy. I think one lug is probably going to cost you at least 50 bucks used, but you can't find them. So be real careful with the tuning. Now the bass drum, it's a good sounding drum, not my favorite 18. My favorite 18-inch bass drum is from my Gretsch Centennials. That's the one you see me do hundreds of videos on here with. That's a great jazz drum. This drum's good just because of the maple. It'll ring forever. I have muffling on here, 2 Gary Chaffee mufflers. I've shown you that on this channel, and I'll put a picture up here of it. They're no longer made, but I got one in the front and the back. And I have a kind of tune dead because this session that I'm doing, and by the way, the reason I have these set up here is because I'm working with a producer that I used these with 4 years ago on the last recording. He wanted the same drum sound. He liked the drum sound a lot. So I got the same, doing everything the same, miking, just 2 overheads and a bass drum mic. That's how I do this. And so he wanted to repeat that, so that's what I'm doing. That's why I set these up, and I figured I'd show them to you. But the bass drum's a little bit dead. There's some other kinds of music on here. We're doing, you know, some Latin stuff. Some Brazilian stuff. So you don't want your bass drum to be too ringy for that. Now you can crank up this bass drum pretty high, but again, you got to be careful with the lugs. All right, but for this session, I'm keeping it pretty low. It does have a lot of punch to it. The cymbals I'm using, by the way, these old Ks. I have a Artisan vault cymbal, and my favorite flat ride, a 24-inch Bosphorus Turk. Just a beautiful cymbal. And the hi-hats are this Artisan Vault Series 14s, heavy. A lot of chick to that. All right, so I will show you some close-ups of this kit now. And so you can see it, and you see the labels and all. And actually, while I'm here, before I show you that, let's do something. I'm going to take one of these toms off. One of the reasons I love this kit so much is it's because the mounting is on the bass drum. So I don't have to worry about this cymbal tom mount thing, which drives me nuts sometimes. So it's a great mounting system. I got the short attachments here, not the long ones. They make long ones. I like the short ones so the rod doesn't go all the way through. So you can see this here. I believe it's a 5-ply, okay? I'm not sure all the plies or maple. I'll have to check. Maybe it's poplar or something in the middle. But I believe it's a 5-ply shell. Of course, these were all made in Japan, and they have the YESS, Y-E-S-S mounting system. When you see MIJ, like on Reverb or eBay, when they're for sale, that means made in Japan. There were also Maple Custom Absolute drums. They have a different lug. It's more kind of diamond shaped, but I really prefer these lugs. And these are gold lugs. Some of the others are just chrome. All right, so we'll show you some close-ups now, and we'll be right back. All right, so here is the badge, and this is what the badge looks like on all these, and you see the Made in Japan thing there, and the serial number. I guess I'll have to look that up. But these are all the same vintage, and I'll show you the bass drum setup here. So you see this Gary Chaffee muffler. That's a Shure Beta 52 right on there. And we'll walk around the side here and show you the front where I put that muffler. You see it right there. And I can adjust that muffling depending on the tune we're doing. So if I want a more ringy bass drum, I just back it off there with those screws, which is a great design. All right, you see the snare drum, which I showed you, and the heads. So no biggie there, and we'll get a full kit picture. And there she is. Just a beautiful drum set. So I'll play a little more for you before we go today, and these are great drums. Again, it's a great all-around kit. If you got this kit with a 20-inch bass drum, it would be a wonderful all-around kit. Also, you can change the heads up, use pinstripes, and they're great for R&B. I've used this kit, even with the 18, on some funk gigs. It sounds wonderful. So, and we'll see you next time.